been a little bit since I've made an update video on our lawn to food forest conversion project with our lovely neighbor. So today I'm going to show what we've been up to here. No major new developments. In fact, a bunch of issues around heat and dryness, and so I'll share notes on that. But right now we're focusing on some deep mulch, some real Ruth Stout style deep mulch, and let me talk about that. First little update is the pond scene. Still a ways to go. It's not that different from last time. It's been holding water pretty well. It's gone down just a little bit with the dryness we've had. We had some rain the other day, but it wasn't enough to really recharge this in any significant way. We can see the frogs are going nuts for this space. In fact, there's little piles of eggs all over the place. So it's becoming a real frog sanctuary. We're excited to get this finalized sometime in the next month or so. We're going to rent an actual proper excavator and do a much larger installation. But the solar panel with the small pump delivering to the garden, that's been a really nice element to work with. You can see the rice is still growing well. We don't have enough space to plant out the rest of the rice, so I think that may not come to fruition this year, but oh well. Some of the squash that we've planted are doing pretty nicely overall. Some have died, I think, because of the heat stress. This area where there's a good diversity of plants that were planted out early, and I was able to water them more regularly because it's so close to the pond, they seem to be doing pretty well, and we've got some beautiful winter squash starting to fill out in here. We'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed, but no expectations with the weather the way it's been. We added in some tomato starts in here. Didn't get around to trellising them, so we'll just let them sprawl along the ground and just see what happens. But they're actually looking really good, growing nicely. I think they really appreciate this heat, and I think they'll really appreciate all the mulch, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. In a recent video, I talked about getting some cover crop on this huge lump of subsoil that came out in the last pass of digging the pond. Probably pretty too low in organic matter and too thick to be a great productive solution in the future, so we'll have to spread out the remaining digging a lot more up into the lawn. But you can see the cover crop is coming in a bit, pretty weak. We haven't watered, haven't done much with it. The black Spanish round radish elements are doing beautifully. They're off and running. The beans are doing pretty well, but I think there's either rabbits or groundhogs in the area that are having a lot of fun trying to get at these. And a nice surprise is so far there's little carpets of carrot seedlings and parsnips coming up all along the top. So we're hoping for some more rain. If it doesn't happen, we'll give it some water and give them a chance, but there may be still a chance of harvesting some root crops off of here. I would love to have shown you this just being gobs of deep green in all directions, but this is what it is, and at least it's working a little bit. We had some deer browse starting to come in, so I put up, it's not electrified, but I found 10 rolls of this sheep netting, and I figured I would put up one just to see if it deflects them. Maybe we would put a second one. I mean, it's super small, it's only 3 feet high, but so far it seems like it's kept the deer from moving in. For the most part, the deer browse hasn't been intense, but I've left this open so that yesterday I could start bringing in all of these hay bales. We bought over 100 from some folks we've purchased hay from in the past. $2.50 a bale for these really nice, tight, freshly made bales. Definitely could have been animal feed, but I guess they said they had a little too much goldenrod and milkweed, but that's fine by us. And so what I'm trying to do now is actually get this whole space thoroughly mulched. These walkways in between beds, in some ways aesthetically it's pleasing when it's tightly mowed and weed whacked on the edges, but it's a lot more management than I want to do. And in the long run, we'd rather have more production space and less lawn incursions in this space. You can see in here how that pattern can play out. So we've added tons of hay with an area that was in grass as of yesterday, and then with the tromboncino squash, which is a beautiful, wonderful summer squash. That one's not that amazing looking, but we've been eating them like crazy. These vines spread thoroughly, and so as we add the mulch and they spread, add the mulch and the sunflowers cast shade, we've got that competition, and I think we can mulch our way out of having a lawn in here. The gardens will stay the same basic layout, but they probably will spread quite a bit in here. Even with the dryness, most of the perennial elements, in this case the elderberries that went in, these were rooted Marge elderberries, they've established nicely and they're putting on another round of fresh green growth. So they feel to me like they're in a great space to just be here. They're gonna do it. And especially now that we're putting mulch around them after that rain, that should lock in the soil moisture that they got and give them a chance. Sea berries, definitely we're holding on for dear life for a little bit, but they are doing okay. They're even making some fruit. And what's very promising to me is here's a sea berry that down below, these are all new shoots. These actually are coming off of the root. And so in year one, in a drought year, not only are they establishing, but some of them are beginning to sucker in thicket form. And the hope is to have them basically colonize this whole area, become a sea berry thicket, and then we can grow vines up and through them. So the winter squash of the future will be planted next to the nitrogen fixing sea berry and use the sea berry as their trellis. So it's more conservative with space. And it feels like we might be on track to have that happen. I put in about an hour this morning in this area, just chipping away at mulching. We might keep a little mow strip right down through the middle here, since it's kind of like a major or a minor-ish alleyway that gets us towards the chicken yard. Maybe on this side, although I'm leaning towards mulching that out as well. And certainly we'll be mulching fully this strip. It's harder to manage than I'd like. And we'll mulch on the other side of these sunchokes. And then of course this will remain lawn for now. But so far I've chewed into, I would say, let's say 6 bales. So what is that, around $15 or so worth of mulch. Has really provided some weed suppression for each of these, in this case, elderberry, white currants, and black currants. Simplified our management, so no more mowing through here. We'll just move the mulch around as grass pops up. We'll cover it like whack-a-mole style for the weeds. And we'll leave a few bales intact in this area so we can open them up and work with them later if we need that. One way I can deal with the weeds, for example, around this black currant that's getting established, is to go through and pull every single plant that's growing around it. Now, even the ones that are right next to it, but it's been dry enough that that's actually pretty stressful for the currant too. So I can go in there and rip and rip and rip, but now I've left this open soil, which will be more prone to drying out. So I've done this, and now I've got to go get water and water it because I've stressed out the currant. And almost certainly I'll have to repeat this every few weeks for the rest of the season because now it's bare soil and the weeds will have to come back. Here's another black currant, similar size, similar amount of weeds. Now, instead of pulling every last weed, I'm simply going to lay them down. A lot of times I'll just do this with my feet, but I'll be a little bit more detailed in here. Push them down, sneak the hay under, and there we go. I didn't stress the current root system out at all, so I don't need to add the additional layer of bringing water because this hasn't gone through a stressful moment. I don't have to think about bringing more compost to this currant because as the hay breaks down, that'll provide nutrients and food for the earthworms. And I may have to repeat this with more hay later. It's pretty likely actually, but I would have to do the same thing if I pulled the weeds. So each time I add more hay, I have less and less work to do. There's more and more fertility and there's more and more water retention in the soil. It's the path I'd much prefer. I could be on my hands and knees doing this, and that's nice for much smaller plants in detail, but for the most part what we do is just simply step the weeds down with a foot or two and throw some loose mulch on top. Maybe I'll pull aside the plant that's there, mulch on top. So for the most part, I'm not down on my hands and knees or getting up and down, certainly not pulling a lot, and I'm not even needing to have tools with me while I do this. Neat trick that might be useful if you forget to bring pruners or scissors or a knife with you when you're out working. The bales, hay bales or straw bales that are wrapped with this orange or green twine, it's a little harder to do this with metal, but you can open them by finding one side coming to the corner and slipping that over the corner. You might find a little stick helps with that, but as soon as this corner's off, now I've got a whole nice loop I can reuse for all sorts of different things. And then opening it the rest of the way is simply going in the middle, leaning it to one side, and now it's open. So it's just an easy way to get access to the hay. The beauty of doing this kind of work is that once the bales are in position, I don't really need tools with me, and it's very light labor to do this kind of mulch. It's way less intense than being on my hands and knees weeding all of this out and then having to water and then bring fertility later on. Maybe I'll do another more formal update on the potato patch experiment, but for those of you that have been following, interesting note is that here we are early August, mid-season. We're on our way towards the end of the season for these potatoes, and surprisingly to me, they have basically unified. I can't tell the different experiments, they do not pop out. So maybe in the center they're slightly larger, but basically I could have dug and flipped the soil, planted a potato, broken up the soil, then mulched, moved the mulch aside, put some compost, planted a potato and mulched, or just moved the mulch aside and dropped a potato and put the mulch back, and they all would have worked. So good news in the future, I could have planted however I wanted and there'd still be potatoes, it seems. Interesting. We've got a bunch of bales queued up that are in reserve for when we do the actual excavation of taking the pond much further out. And the thought is that as he works with a larger excavator, which will be roughly that shape, the boom can come out and deposit a scoop of wet subsoil, and I can put hay on top. Subsoil, hay on top. Basically layer, 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 and let it be this lumpy landscape up in here, but with all this organic matter injected into each of those layers, rather than these monolithic lumps of straight, solid clay and stone. It'll be all these layers. And I think that'll be a much bigger improvement. I'll go into more detail with that when we actually do it, but that's the plan with these 15 or so bales that are here. That's enough chatting for now. I think I'm going to get back to actually doing the work I'm supposed to do, in my mind, of mulching and simplifying and unifying these garden beds into contiguous Ruth Stout style, solid, deeply mulched, productive spaces. Next video you see, there should be pretty much no lawn in this entire area. We'll be converted over entirely to production and minor walkways. And for year one in a pretty significantly dry, challenging year in not the greatest soil at 1,200 foot elevation on a north slope, I'm very pleased with how things are going. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. What ways could we be doing this better? What sort of questions do you have? And how are your gardens doing?